Alright guys, we're going to be doing something a little different here today. Well, a lot different. We're going to take a flight in Microsoft Flight Simulator, something that I have certainly spent a lot of time doing. And I love DCS, as you know if you follow my channel. I post a lot of DCS stuff, but DCS is all about conflict and stressful situations and tense situations, and sometimes you just want to put all that aside and relax. And that is exactly what Microsoft Flight Simulator does better than pretty much any game once you learn how to fly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started here. And when you can see, we are cold and dark. And we are in the Cirrus SR-22. Taking a pretty long flight today. I don't know if I'll show the whole flight in the video, or if maybe I'll clip it where I just show the beginning and then show the end. I'm not really sure. Haven't made up my mind yet. We'll figure that out as we go. We're going to go ahead and turn on our batteries, and our alternators, and our avionics, navigation, strobe lights, and landing lights. I don't think we have to worry about ice protection. We're only going to be flying at about 10,000 feet today. So you can see it's got all the pre-flight stuff. We're good with all that, so we don't have to worry about all that. Let's go ahead and start our engine. Alright. We'll let it get warmed up and let our oil temperature and everything get up. Set up our display here. Alright, so there's no wind, it looks like. Let's see. Want to go ahead and, first of all, let's zoom out a little bit. Turn on our flight director. Switch our nav mode to GPS so that it will follow the GPS guidance. And set our altitude to 10,000. Alright, altitude set to 10,000. Looks like oil pressure and everything looks pretty good. Let's take a look here. Yeah, everything looks pretty good there. We're in the green. So now, unfortunately, in Flight Sim, there's no way that I know of to turn off the ground crew. So they're there to push you back, even if you don't need pushback. We don't, you know, at this field, we don't need pushback. So unfortunately, they're kind of always there. If there's some way to turn that off, somebody please tell me in the comments how to do that, because with these small aircraft like this, you don't require pushback. You just taxi your way to the runway. So it's a little bit unrealistic, but that's okay. Let's see. So we got everything set up, I think. So let's go ahead and make our way to the runway. Like I said, this is a pretty long flight. I think it's just over 200 miles. which in certain aircraft that's a really short flight, but in an aircraft like this it's a longer flight because we're probably only going to be cruising about 140, 150 knots, something along that range. Actually, I'm not really sure. To be fair, I'm not 100% sure what the SR-22 does once it levels off at altitude. I haven't flown this thing in quite a while. So we'll just make our way up there, and once we get to altitude and level off, we'll figure out what we're gonna do. Oops. So let's take a look, make sure our runway is clear. Looks clear. Don't want to mess around with ATC on this flight. ATC and flight sim it's good, and it can be very fun dealing with all the different, changing frequencies and changing locations as you fly over a great distance and keeping up with ATC the whole time. But it can also make what would be a really peaceful and relaxing flight into a lot of micromanagement, and I just don't feel like dealing with the micromanagement today. So we won't be dealing with those guys. Hear all the little creaks and little noises the aircraft makes. Alright, so we're gonna stop right here, put on the parking brake, throttle all the way back, and just last couple things here. We have to turn our fuel pump to boost mode for takeoff. Everything is set. Let's get the screenshots. It's an iconic shot of the airplane looking down the runway. That's good stuff. Take a screenshot of that. That looks pretty great. Oops. All right. Oh, we need to put our flaps down. That's one thing that we almost forgot to do. Okay, flaps are down. Alright, I think everything else is set. We are cleared for takeoff. So we are going to release the brake, and we are going to throttle all the way up to full throttle. What, this little plane has a lot of get up for a small 4-person plane compared to some of the others that I fly. This one has a lot of torque. The engine's very peppy. I like it. I spend most of my time flying fighter jets, which, that's a whole different experience, but all right, we're gonna go ahead and retract our flaps. We're gonna make the turn here. I mean, Flight Simulator is just one of the best looking games ever made. There's not really much else you can say about it. It's after all this time, it's almost 4 years old now, and it's still stunningly gorgeous. And I mean, I play DCS, which is also a very beautiful game, but this, Flight Sim takes it to another level. It's truly gorgeous to look at. But there's a lot less going on in Flight Sim than there is in DCS, that is for sure. So it's hard to compare the two. So we're taking off. I don't even know how to pronounce the name of the place we took off from. It's like it's somewhere over in Asia. Akistan or Akstan, or I don't know. So I'm a little ignorant as far as where we actually are. But I just picked, when you're picking a flight location, I typically fly in the US. I typically fly places I've actually been in real life because I'm boring like that. I have flown all over the world in Flight Sim, but on this one I decided instead of changing the time of day, I would just find a part of the world where it was already daytime. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and turn on our autopilot. And we are going to turn on our vertical climb. Whoa, 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 whoa. We want that at 900. There we go. Okay, so climb rate is 900. Can't see it very good because of the light, but climb rate is 900. It's all the way on the very far right over there. We are currently climbing a little above that. We're at about 950. We are still increasing speed, but what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and turn off the boost mode on the fuel pump. And we are also going to throttle back to about 92% on the throttle. Just going to keep an eye on our speed and make sure we're still at this climb rate, maintaining good speed. Once again, I have flown the Diamond DA40 a lot, and this plane seems much stronger and much more powerful than the Diamond DA40, much more lively in its performance. So the Diamond DA40 at times has a hard time climbing once you throttle back a little bit right after takeoff like this, but this thing seems to have no problem. So all right. So we're currently just passing 5,000 feet. We are trying to reach 10,000. You see how beautiful the clouds are in Flight Sim. DCS has some amazing visuals and some amazing clouds, but they just aren't on the same point as Microsoft Flight Simulator. The clouds in particular are on a whole nother level in this sim. Alright, so once again, let's get some screenshots. Let's take a look here. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Take that right there. Oh, we left our landing lights on, so we need to turn those off. One more screenshot. Let's turn off our landing lights. There it goes. Okay. So that is no longer needed. Won't be until we're getting ready to land. Hopefully we can remember them. So like I said, this is a pretty long flight. I feel like after a couple of weeks of a lot of DCS and a lot of multiplayer PvP in DCS, I definitely feel like it's a good idea to do something a little different, do something a little more relaxing. I love Flight Sim. I think it's a really good simulator. I think it's really great. But if you follow my channel and watch many of my videos, you'll notice that a lot of them involve DCS. I am very much hooked on DCS and spend a lot of time flying the unfriendly skies in fighter jets and helicopters and everything in between. Alright, so we're going to try to do this full sim. We're going to try not to use any of the menu options. If you play Flight Sim, you know if you go up to the top of the screen, there are menu options that come down that you can look at the map and zoom in and zoom out on the map, and I like to use those things. I'm not one of these people most of the time who is such a hardcore sim pilot that I have to do everything. I mean, I enjoy that too. I have done a lot of long flights where I never leave the cockpit, I never look at the external cameras, and it's all, you know, trying to be as real as possible. But I also have flights like this where I spend a lot of time outside the airplane just looking around at the beautiful scenery and the beautiful clouds, and you know, I think you should be able to enjoy these sims however you want to enjoy them. It doesn't have to be completely hardcore all the time. I've been flying in DCS, I've been flying on Contention, which is a new server that's really, really popular, and it's a hardcore server. No external cameras, no hot starts, none of that. You have to cold start, you have to do everything, and you're stuck in the cockpit at all times, and I've been having a blast there too. So I can have a good time pretty much no matter what. I just I'm here to relax, here to play some Flight Sim and enjoy the beautiful visuals and the scenery and just relax a little bit. Take a break from the grind of sim racing and DCS and first-person tactical shooters and all that stuff. What I need to start doing is I need to start using Flight Sim as a decompress, like a place to decompress more often. Go play a few rounds of Tarkov and then come here to relax, because if you ever played Tarkov, it's about as stressful as it can get. So Flight Sim is a good place to take those breaks and just kind of enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet, a little bit of joy. So we're steady at 10,000 feet now. You can see we're well above the low-level clouds and well below the high-level clouds. High-level clouds are light, not heavy clouds. It's about 8:15 in the morning, 8:25 in the morning, something along those lines when we took off, so nice morning flight. And let's take a look at this Cirrus. This is a very nice aircraft. If I ever had the money, this would be one of the aircraft that I would consider buying. I like it a lot. Of course, the Vision Jet is my favorite Cirrus, but I don't foresee any future where I could afford one of those, so I think they're a little over $3 million for one of those, and even one of these is not cheap. I think these are about high sevens, little under $800,000 for a Cirrus SR22, I think. So they're certainly not cheap either. Oh, one thing you have to do in this aircraft, which I almost forgot about. You see that little warning that says fuel imbalance. You see it right there. Fuel imbalance. This thing has two tanks, a left tank and a right tank. And you're supposed to switch this to boost. Whoops. And then flip it over to the other tank. So you have to switch tanks every so often to keep the fuel level even. Take a look, you can see right here the two fuel tanks. So we've got this one down below 30 now on the left tank, because that's what we've been using this whole time, and the right tank is just below 40, so that's gonna mess up the balance of the airplane. So that's why we have to every now and then switch it over, and then once we've switched it over, we can turn off that boost. You just have to turn the boost on when you're switching tanks. Almost killed ourselves by turning the fuel off temporarily. Wouldn't that be a great way to end the video? Just fall out of the sky because you turned the fuel off and the engine stalled out. Hopefully we'd be able to get it restarted before we died, but I don't know. Never practiced that in this aircraft. If I were to buy one of these, I think one of the things that I would really not like is the way the stick is. The way that it comes out of the dash, and just the look of it, it just looks flimsy. Like, doesn't that just look flimsy? I'm sure in practice, like actually using it, it probably feels good and feels expensive and sturdy. But just looking at it, it looks flimsy. And if I paid that kind of money, almost $1 million for an airplane, I don't know how I would feel about that. But the Cirrus Vision Jet also has a side-mounted stick. Now it's a more sturdy stick looking than that, but it's a left-mounted, or if you're in the passenger seat, right-mounted. So it's not a center stick. So that's something, if you're going to own a Cirrus aircraft, I guess that's something you just have to adjust to. So we're 8 miles from our next waypoint. Still quite a ways from our destination. Looks like we're about an hour away, so we got a long flight ahead of us. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to record this whole flight and just sit here and blabbermouth for a while. There may be some long pauses without much talking going on, but I think I'm going to record the whole thing, and then if you guys want to skip ahead and get to the end where we land and all that stuff, that you're certainly welcome to do that. But if you want to stick around, stick around. It'll be hopefully somewhat enjoyable. Personally, I have spent countless hours on YouTube watching Microsoft Flight Sim videos and American Truck Simulator videos and sim racing videos and DCS videos. I'm a weird guy, I guess, but I watch some of the stuff that most people would say was the most boring stuff on YouTube. I'll sit there for an hour and watch a guy do an endurance race in sim racing, and he's just chattering the whole time, and I just eat it up. Love that stuff. Really like the interior of this. This right here, this is a Cirrus aircraft. So if you see, it says used for extreme emergencies only. What this is this is the emergency parachute system that all Cirrus aircraft have. Looks like we're making our turn right here. So what this is, you tear this open, there's a lever or a handle in here, and if you pull on the handle, a device rockets out of the back of the aircraft, somewhere on the fuselage. I'm not sure where it is on this aircraft. I don't think that there's a spot that you can visibly see on the aircraft. I don't know. I'm not sure on this one. But what it does is it rockets a device out of the back of the aircraft, and a parachute deploys, and the parachute will carry the entire plane down to the surface and land the plane, saving the plane from crashing. So if you were in a spin and you stalled out and you're spinning and you're just careening towards the surface of the earth and you're gonna die, you reach up here, you rip this thing open, you pull the lever, the parachute comes out, and it saves your life. And I think in their aircraft, most of their aircraft, the landing is about 20 miles per hour, 20-25 miles per hour straight down. So you're going to hit the ground hard, but 20 miles per hour won't kill you. 120 miles per hour will kill you. But the parachute has saved a lot of Cirrus pilots' lives over the years, and they have them in all their aircraft. The Vision Jet that I love so much, the Cirrus Vision Jet, it has the same system. It has the parachute system. It also has another system in the V2, which is the one that's in Flight Sim. The V2 has a button that you can push, like a big red button, and you push it and hold it, I think, for 4 seconds or 5 seconds. And it, like, let's say a couple own the Vision Jet, and husband and wife, and the husband is a pilot, he's got his license, but the wife has no clue how to fly the plane. And halfway through their flight, husband has a stroke, or some kind of medical emergency and he can't fly the plane. He's incapacitated. The wife can reach up and push the red button, hold it down. When she does so, the plane goes into an automatic pilot mode and it contacts the nearest airfield automatically. The plane does it. Co-pilot doesn't have to do anything. The plane contacts the airfield, lets the airfield know that they're going to be making an emergency landing, and then the plane flies itself to that airfield and lands itself on that airfield without any input from anyone in the aircraft. Now, I know that sounds incredible, and it is incredible. It's awesome. It's so awesome. It's why if I was ever filthy rich, I would own a Vision jet. But it's a $3 million jet, which in the world of airplanes or personal aircraft, $3 million is not that much. It's nothing. Like I said, this little plane cost $800,000. So $3 million, you can have a plane that will not only save your life by landing itself, but if for some reason that failed, you have an emergency parachute that will save your life. I guess what I'm really trying to say is I like Cirrus as a company. I like that they have that life-saving measure that nobody else has, the parachute thing. Like, nobody else even tries to do it. I'm not really sure why it's not more common, but nobody really tries to do it. They just depend on the pilot to be able to save themselves. And if a pilot is well trained, 99.9% of the time, if there is a problem, the pilot can save themselves and they'll be fine. And they'll survive. They can do an emergency landing. Good piloting fixes almost every problem that can happen in an aircraft. The only thing that good piloting can't fix is like a majorly catastrophic failure, but that doesn't usually happen in aircraft. Aircraft, if you're doing your job right, they're well maintained, constantly inspected, and they're very high quality machines. So, but that's why I love Cirrus as a company. The parachute thing I think is really cool. And then when I found out about the auto land button on the Vision jet, I was like, I wish that was modeled in Flight Sim. Unfortunately, it's not. But it is there. You can see it. It just, when you try to use it, it says inoperable. But I think it would be really cool if that emergency landing system actually worked in Flight Sim. The only problem is I'd probably never finish any flights because I probably would be too tempted to push the big red button and do that every time. So, but yeah. So let's see if we can't get a nice screenshot here. That's a good one. I mean, Flight Sim is just... it's just stunning. It's really incredible how good it looks. The fact that they got this game to run on Xboxes, the fact that people on an Xbox Series S can even play this game. Now, it doesn't look like this. It still looks really surprisingly, like shockingly good on a Series S, considering how weak the Series S truly is. A lot of people don't know this, but the Xbox Series S is actually weaker than the Xbox One X, which was the first 4K machine that Microsoft made back in like 2017, I think it was, or 2018. It was like somewhere right in that range, 17 or 18, the Xbox One X came out, and it was the first console to be able to do native 4K. And that console, I still have one actually, but that console is actually more powerful than the next gen Series S. The Series S is actually weaker, but it has the faster hard drives and some other things that give it benefits above the Xbox One X. I actually fired up my One X the other day to play some MLB The Show because I had a itch for some baseball, and oh my god, I forgot how horrible HDDs really were. Like, we dealt with that for so long. Like, loading times to load into MLB The Show on the One X is like, it's gotta be like 3 minutes to load into the game just to get to the main menu. It feels like an eternity. My computer has, you know, all NVMe hard drives. They're all really fast ones, and everything is almost instant. If it's not instant, it's really fast. And so going back to the old hardware is it's a little bit shocking, and it's definitely frustrating. But we quickly forget. We quickly forget the things that we take for granted every day in gaming, like graphics and fast hard drives and powerful CPUs and GPUs and all these things that we have that are so great. Alright, so we're at 10,000 feet. We're at 92% on our throttle, and we are cruising at 163, almost 164. That's pretty good speed for a plane like this. This thing is surprising me a lot with the... I mean, I haven't flown it in a long time, and I don't know if I ever flew it a lot. I was a really big Diamond fan for a long time, so I've flown the DA-40 a lot, and the DA-62 a lot. But yeah, this plane has a good... I mean, the cruising speed of 163... I want to say the Diamond DA-62, which is a twin engine, its cruising speed is only 30 knots faster, maybe? And that's a much more expensive airplane. That's like a $2.5–3 million airplane, the DA-62, and it's twin engine. But it is not that much faster than this plane, so I'm pleasantly surprised with the speed of this thing. So let's see, our next turn is 50 miles away. Let's take a look here. If you look in the top right of the right display, you can see we've got about 46 minutes left of our flight. Oh, we need to keep an eye on our fuel. Our right tank, if you can see there, the right tank is starting to get below the left tank. This is where I'm looking right here. The right tank is below. I'm trying to zoom in on it for you. Right tank is now below the left tank. So when the right tank gets down to about 20, maybe even a little before 20, we'll switch back to the left tank. Oil temp looks good, oil pressure looks good, everything else looks great. Okay, so let's go back to what we were looking at. So in the top right of the right display, our distance, I think that's our total distance, the UIPP distance is 138 nautical miles. We've still got about 45 minutes to go. So we've still got quite a ways to go before we reach our destination. This is going to be a long video. It already is a long video, but I hope you're sticking around. Hope you're having a good time. I wish I had more knowledge about the SR-22. I wish I could start spitting facts about all the cool things about this plane. But I honestly haven't paid as much attention to it as I have the Diamond aircraft, which is kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame, you know, because the Cirrus aircraft are honestly my favorite aircraft because of some of their beliefs as a company. I think the Diamond aircraft are better looking. Is the DA-40 better looking than this SR-22? I don't know. The DA-40 is a pretty good looking plane. This is also a good looking plane. They're very similar in design. I do like the engine performance a lot more in this aircraft. This thing has a lot more guts than the DA-40 does. And I like that part. So for those of you who are DCS pilots who crave for war and thirst for blood, if you've made it this far and you're wondering why you're watching this, I know many of you, I mean, what people do in DCS, the things they have to learn just to operate their aircraft, and the systems they have to understand, and the weapon systems and the radar systems and the targeting pods and GPS guided systems and laser systems, and so much. It's incredible. Flight sim is much simpler than that. You can see how I fly in flight sim. You put me in an aircraft that doesn't have a G1000, put me in something like an old Cessna without the G1000, and I struggle. I mean, I can follow a heading and I can typically make it to my destination, but I like the luxury of all this stuff. I like having the GPS and just being able to set the autopilot to follow the GPS and just follow the little pink line and take me where I'm going. I love the comfort of it. It's like I'm a huge cruise control guy. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm driving, I live in Florida in kind of a medium-sized town, not a big city, but you know, a medium-sized town. And even in town in traffic, my truck has radar cruise, so it adjusts to the speed of the vehicle in front of you. So if they slow down, it'll slow down. If they speed up, it'll speed up, and so on. So even in town, like if traffic is not real bad, I just set the cruise, man. I'm a cruise control guy all the way. Just let it follow the guy in front. I'm okay. I'm not weaving through traffic. I'm not passing everybody. I'm not in some big rush most of the time. I just want to get where I'm going without any accidents. So set the cruise and make my way there. When I fly in flight simulators, the same exact thing. Just set the autopilot, let it take me where I'm going. I'll do the takeoff, I'll do the landing, but everything else, let the plane do the work. I'm totally okay with that. If you look at the level of detail, and I think this is the biggest weakness of DCS versus Microsoft Flight Simulator. I had someone once tell me that DCS looked better than Flight Sim, which is factually untrue. I mean, you could say you like the way DCS looks better, and I could respect that, I guess, but there is no realm where DCS as a whole product looks better than this. It's just not. It's just not a thing. I would love for DCS to improve their ground textures and ground look to where it was up to the level of Flight Sim, or at least close to this level. And if they did that, I think they could add an entire first-person shooter combat system to the ground troops, and it would be the biggest, most insane combat simulator ever made. But, you know, of course that's a pipe dream, but maybe one day we'll do a graphics comparison of DCS versus Flight Sim. I don't know if there's even really a point in doing it. I mean, look at that right there. You can zoom in on that little thing and you can read the words around that cap. Everything is, I mean, look at the detail. Just have you seen, oh my gosh, let me show you this. Have you seen the lights on the ends of the wings on these aircraft? Take a look at this. Look at the detail just in the lights. It's insane. This is not the best view for this. Let's try it in this one. So, see if we can get it in center. This is not the easiest thing to do. Look at that. Look at the detail on that. Now you tell me you know of a game that has better up close detail than that. I mean, look at those rivets. Look at, oh, it's just, there's not really anything like it. And that's, you know, it's one of the things that make it great. Not to mention that the flying is fantastic. The weather system is insane. I love the weather system in this sim. When you live in a place like Florida, where I live, the weather is so unpredictable. We have afternoon showers in the spring and summer, and you'll be outside in 100-degree heat, full sunshine, like beautiful blue skies, sunshine, and within like 4 minutes the sky will turn black and a huge cloud will come overhead and just downpour millions of gallons of rain all over your whole area of the town you live in. And then 40 minutes later, it's sunshine again. And it's muggy because all the wet that just hit the ground is now coming up as steam coming off the ground in the 100-degree heat. And it's like living in a sauna. Well, in Microsoft Flight Sim, they have the most realistic simulation of that type of weather I have ever seen, because I have flown in Gainesville and Jacksonville and Tampa and all around the state of Florida on days where that's what the forecast was. And when you're flying in Flight Sim, there's literally these huge clouds scattered, and you can see the rain coming down from each giant cloud and all the dry spots in between where the sun is still shining. It's just like real life. It's insane. It's insane that they put that kind of work into it where it's just like the real thing. Like, this little town is just getting torrentially downpoured on, and then the town right next to it is 100-degree heat and sunshine, just like real life. It's visually there. Like, you can actually see the rain coming down out of the clouds to the surface. It's just nuts. The fact that there's that much detail. And then, you know, when you're flying, if you fly low level, you're flying in rain, sun, because you're flying through all these rain clouds. It's crazy. It's really awesome. But that's just one of the things that makes Flight Sim such an amazing sim. I should have taken more time to figure out what country I'm flying over. I'm not really sure where in the world I am, but this, like that area we were flying over earlier with all the lakes and everything, it was beautiful. There was so much water and like all these different colored ground surface areas. Like it was really, really cool looking. Alright, so we're about 34 minutes out at 105 miles. Still maintaining our same speed. And let's take a look. Hold on. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch this fuel tank. So we need to put the boost on. Switch back to the left tank. So we're gonna see the left or right tank. We let it get down a little below 20 actually, and the left one is still just below 30. So we're gonna let these level out. Kind of keep an eye on it. So when we get about, probably when we get about 45 miles or so from our destination, maybe 50, we'll go ahead and start to descend down, try to get down to a lower altitude. Still got a little ways to go. I'm sure what I'm doing is not proper procedure, but I'm just doing what I know to do. So if you fly flight sim, have you ever just looked around the cockpit to see the detail on everything? Like the massively detailed textures and buttons and switches. Now the one thing that flight sim has that DCS doesn't have, DCS, their planes feel very lived in. Their aircraft are mostly very old. So when you get in a DCS aircraft, everything's worn. There's scuff marks and scratches and dirt buildup in certain places and little dimples everywhere, and it's just it's very worn and trying to look lived in. Whereas when you get in flight sim and you get in these aircraft, look at the stitching on the armrest here. But like when you get in the aircraft on flight sim, they look like they've never been touched, like they are brand new. You're the first person to ever fly them. And I understand both approaches. I kind of like both approaches. I like for flight sim, I like this approach, and for DCS, I like what they've done, especially because their aircraft are older aircraft. I like that there are, you know, the aged bits about it in DCS. I think that matches DCS as a sim. See, we're making a turn here. We're flying over somewhere called Luton. Not sure where Luton is. according to what's there, there's not much in Luton. No town, no city. Just looks like wilderness and farmland for the most part. I love the detail of everything. It's really impressive. All right. So, you know, the hardest things about flying, well, the hardest thing about flying is landing. The second hardest thing about flying is taking off, but in civilian aircraft, taking off is pretty straightforward. They're pretty docile, pretty easy to get up in the air and let it get some airspeed and steady out, kind of level out, and then continue with your flight. Landing can be a little more of a challenge, so we're going to see if I have what it takes to bring this bad boy in when we get done with this long flight. It'd be a real shame to fly this long and cover all this ground and then not stick the landing, so we'll have to see how I do. I haven't flown flight sim in quite a while. I've been landing fighter jets, and I recently bought the MB339, which is a trainer in DCS, and it was on sale, so I got it at a good price. But that little thing, slow, oh my gosh, is it slow. I mean, for DCS it's slow, not compared to flight sim, but in DCS you're used to going Mach 1, Mach 1.5, Mach 2, you know, all these crazy speeds and these super powerful fighter jets and everything. And then you get in something like a trainer, like the 339, and if you don't know what it is, go look it up. It's an aircraft that's used for training pilots, has been used for training pilots for a long, long time. And it is actually used in war as well. But it has no air-to-air capabilities, no radar, no data link, no RWR, so if somebody fires on you, you don't even get a warning. It has no countermeasures, no flares, no chaff. You can't even defend yourself in any way. The only thing it carries is gun pods or rocket pods or bombs. So basically, it is just the lightest of light strike fighters you could imagine. It can't carry very much, and its weapons are not that powerful for the most part. There are a couple things that it has that are surprisingly powerful for what it is, but it's just really fun to fly. Like, I just love flying, so I bought it because it was on sale for cheap. So I got it. I had wanted it for a long time just because of the way it looked, and I thought it would be fun to fly. And it is really fun to fly. But it is much more stressful to fly than these civilian aircraft. You're talking about... Alright, we're almost... I think we're going to go ahead and go on down to 5,000 feet. What we're going to have to do is we're going to descend at a pretty good clip. So we're going to throttle back to about 50%. We'll adjust as needed with this descent rate. Okay, so we want to keep our speed around what we were at cruise. So it looks like 56% on throttle is about the sweet spot. That's holding right about where we were at cruising speed. 57, maybe 58 will put us right where we were, but we want to maintain our speed. So the last thing we want to do is slow down a whole bunch right now, because we've still got about 73 miles to go, about 24 minutes of flight time. And as you can see, if you look on the screen on the right, there's two bars. There's the one that shows our altitude, and there's the little bar to the right of that. If you look at the top of that bar, it says minus 800. That means we are descending at 800 feet per minute. So we are coming down at a pretty good rate. When we were climbing earlier, we climbed at a rate of 900. So we're actually descending a little slower than what we climbed, which is fine. We're still quite a ways from our destination, and we're going to have to descend more before we turn the autopilot off and take over manual control. But the biggest thing we want to do is maintain our speed, because this is already a long flight. We don't want to make it any longer than it has to be. And we do also need to keep an eye on our fuel. Looks like the left tank is still a little bit above where the right tank is, so for now we're going to leave it on the left tank. Maybe we'll switch it to the right one right before we land. So now we're going to get an even better look at the ground and those beautiful ground textures, because we're going to get down a lot lower. And then once we get closer to our destination, we will get down even much lower, get ready for our landing. So this is what I love about Flight Sim, and I had spent so much time in Flight Sim before I got into DCS, and it helped me so much getting into DCS, because all of the flying parts, the landing parts, the takeoffs, and all of those things that you would normally have to learn, I already had a good grasp on all of those things. The flying, I mean, there was things I had to learn about throttle management and things like that. I'm still learning. I still have a lot to learn. I am not an ace pilot in DCS by any stretch of the imagination. I am just simply a capable pilot, if you can even call me capable. I'm decent in air-to-air combat. I'm becoming decent in air-to-ground combat with certain weapon systems, but I am not an ace pilot. So it looks like 5,000 feet is going to put us right in the clouds. So let's go down to 3,500 instead. see where that puts us. We're still maintaining our speed. We are still about 59 miles from our destination, so we still got a ways to go, about 20 more minutes of flight time. So you see the little towns down there. Looking great and highly detailed as always in Flight Sim. There are some anomalies that you'll see in Flight Sim, especially when you fly in really uncommon and obscure areas like I often do. Small towns or lesser known countries or whatever. You'll see little things, you know, where the bridges are flat on the water instead of being 3D and elevated above the water like they should be, and just little things like that. But the fact that they were able to model the entire Earth using a satellite mapping system and then filling in the blanks, and the fact that they have done countless updates to make the cities and towns and popular locations and all these things look so much more real. But I don't know how long the lifespan is going to be for this flight sim, but if it's 10 years, by the time those 10 years are up, most of the world is going to be super highly detailed models, because they have been updating and updating and updating the cities and the towns and like all the big, like Grand Canyon and all the big things that people want to see, the pyramids, the famous statues, famous mountains, famous everything. You know, all of that stuff has been gone over with a fine-tooth comb to make it as detailed as possible. And as you can see, we are still going to be right inside these clouds. Let's see what 500 more feet does for us. You see how detailed the clouds are. Even when it's light clouds like that, they still have like body to them. It's pretty impressive. So that's a little better, but we're still going to have to deal with some clouds here. We are, let's take a look. We are about 48 miles from our destination. And we are the thing is, we want to be up high enough that we can see the airfield from some distance so that that doesn't become an issue. Let's go ahead and go on down to 2,500 feet. It's going to make it hard to spot the airfield, but I mean, Honestly, I can't even remember what kind of airfield I chose to land at. This might be some little podunk park in the grass type place. It might actually be. It seems like maybe that's what I did choose. So hopefully the airfield is long enough we can even land on it. I have, in my exploration on Flight Sim over the years, I have a few times, more than a few times, selected a small airfield, and it turned out it was a grass field, like a grass runway, and I had to land out in a field, and that's kind of fun. You know, not all planes are designed for that, but if it's well maintained and you're careful, you can still land most things at those little grass airfields. So hopefully that's not what we're landing at today, but if it is, we will do our best. Okay, so now that we've leveled off, we have lost some speed because our throttle is still down, so we're going to crank that back up. Try to get back up to a decent rate of speed for now. So I can't remember, but I think that this may take us straight in. There may not be a bend before the airfield. It may just be taking us straight in. Let's go ahead and take it down to 1,800 feet. We're still nearly 40 miles away, so we've got time to set up and adjust, and if we have to, we can do a pass by and then come around and land. Oh, one thing we do need to do is we need to switch tanks. So we are going to... Oh, I left the boost on last time. Oops. Man, did it again. Alright, we're going to turn the boost off. So we've got it on the right tank, so we shouldn't have to mess with that again during this flight. We are descending to 1,800. We are speeding a little more than we want to, so let's dial back the throttle a little bit here. Don't want to overspeed. One thing you don't ever want to do in Flight Sim is overspeed your aircraft. This sim is very sensitive to that. It does not take it very lightly when you overspeed. Okay, so our total distance and our distance to next waypoint are the same, so I think that means we are going to come straight in. The only thing I don't know is if the airfield is going to be kind of swinging off to the left or the right. If it's going to be literally leading us right in, we're still too far away to have a visual on it, but I'm not sure. It doesn't help that we don't know what kind of airfield we're actually landing at. Is it an airport, or is it a small little airstrip somewhere in the middle of nowhere? I mean, we do seem to be in the middle of nowhere. We're in the country. Lots of farmland and open spaces out here, so... Picking up a little bit of throttle here to get us back up to our cruising speed. Don't want to be going too fast, but we still got a little ways to go. So this is the fun part. Now, this aircraft, you don't have to drop your gear or anything like that. Your gear are always down, so you don't have to worry with that. The only thing we have to worry about is throttle management and flaps. So we're going to want to lower our flaps as we approach and scrub off speed so that we can come in nice and easy. Okay. So it says we're about 9.5 minutes from our destination, about 26 miles. So basically we've just got to keep our eyes on the horizon until we can make contact with this airfield where we know exactly where we're going. What I'm afraid of is the airfield is going to be on an angle. So we're going to have to adjust last minute and line up with the airfield. So that's why we need to get a visual on it as early as we can so that we can line up properly. I would rather not have to circle around and come back, but if we have to, we have to. We'll do what we have to do. Still no visual yet. All right. Still just in the middle of nowhere. There's a couple small towns, but really not much out here. Like I said, I wish I had paid better attention to what part of the world I was in. I know I'm somewhere, I think, in Central Asia, but I just picked an area that looked nice on the map and was daytime. Alright, so we're still 20 miles away, 19 miles away. If it was a large airfield, it would have like lights leading you in and you would be able to see the lights from a distance. But it's probably not a large airfield, so it's probably not going to have that. The only question is, what kind of airstrip is it? Beautiful morning for a flight. Beautiful morning flight. I was wondering if I could so we're 11 miles away, so it's somewhere here right in front of us. That almost looks like a runway right there. No, I don't think so. Don't think so. I think that's too close anyway. Yeah, that's not a runway. Well, what have I got us looking for? This may be some sandy dirt runway somewhere, I'm not sure. Surely don't see it. It says it's 7 miles away, so it should be right in front of us right here, somewhere in this town. We're gonna go ahead and dial back on the throttle quite a bit here. Need to turn off our autopilot. I know we're close, just can't get a visual on it, but we'll take over manually. There it is. Okay, there it is. I think that's it right there. Oh man. This is a small little airfield. Oh boy. Leave it to me to fly 2 hours or however long this flight has been, only to go to a tiny little airfield in the middle of nowhere. Trying to put a little more throttle, keep it under control here. Oh, we're coming in hot. A little bit off the runway there. Well, my goodness. We made it. But good Lord, this is a tiny, tiny little airfield in the middle of nowhere. Of course, this would be the destination I would pick. No wonder I couldn't see it. I can still barely see it, and I'm here. I love how even at these little tiny airfields, there's just ground crew guys walking around. Like everybody's just hanging out at an airfield that probably sees 3 planes a month. All right, we made it. What a flight. Forgot to turn our landing lights on before we landed, but that's okay. Go ahead and turn everything off here. Oops, wait, hold on. Turn off our engine, our alternators, and our battery. And there we go. Successful flight. A little bit hairy at the end there. A little bit of craziness. Tiny little airfield. My gosh. And yeah. I'm sure not many people watched this all the way to the end, but if you did, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully the ongoing ramblings weren't too dry or boring. I hope you guys enjoy this. I know I surely enjoyed making it. And with my YouTube channel, I'm kind of all over the place. I got Red Dead Redemption, I got videos about graphics comparisons, I got DCS, which I'm obsessed with, and now I have Flight Simulator, which I've actually been making Flight Simulator videos for a really long time. But appreciate you guys joining me. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks again.